Alright, Victorum Gaming fans and Victory at Sea fans, we're back. We got another video for you today. We're continuing on in our little trilogy here of covering basically how to win the game, and so that covers victory points, deployment, and actual missions or objectives as they have them here. And Victory at Sea does something a little different than a lot of games, and that's you basically have a separate mission for each player, so kind of like an asymmetric setup here, and then each of these does tend to vary a little bit, so you know, your objective could be something quite different than your opponent's, and that leads to some different scoring and things like that. But let's take a look through this here. So, basically, both people should agree on a points total for their fleets, and then roll on the table below and determine their objective. So it's basically a 2d6 roll. You have the missions or the objectives there, and then priority, which we'll talk about in just a second here. So each objective will provide the player with a set of victory conditions needed to fulfill in order to win the battle, as well as whether the objectives are considered high, medium, or low priority for or by the fleet's high command. In all cases, the number of ships required to complete an objective is rounded up and does not include ships dispatched for scouting. So that's a little bit in contrast there to so much of the rest of the game for mechanics, where like pretty much everything is rounded down. Here, this is actually rounded up. And then fleets with a high priority objective gain plus 10% bonus to the total number of victory points available for their fleet, and a low priority objective will suffer a minus 10 penalty to the total number of points available for their fleet. Once players know exactly how many points they have to build their fleet, they can start choosing which ships and aircraft to take. So it's kind of an interesting approach there. So you won't necessarily have the same fleet size as your opponent unless you both basically roll the same thing, or if you're both on medium, for example. So since that doesn't affect plus or negative there, which can lead for some interesting changes to lists and things like that. But let's run through here. So basically we're going to go from the 2 to 3 score all the way through. So first up is destroy. So the enemy has gathered an assault force, massing a great deal of their strength in one place. Sink every ship, and the enemy will be irreparably weakened in this theater. Cripple or destroy every enemy ship to achieve a major victory score. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So, 2 different ways of winning there. Depending again on how you want to score this for, like just a casual one-off game, but more also in like a tournament setting where maybe you want to differentiate between the types of victories, for example. So, you know, major and minor victories and so on and so forth. But pretty tough one here. So basically just wipe out the other fleet. Although, again, getting them to that cripple status per ship there is also another way of getting that. So you don't necessarily have to blow everything out of the water, basically, but still a pretty tall order. And again, the other one here, score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So if you don't manage to do that, then you can at least score more points than your opponent, and that still gets you a minor victory. Breakout. A superior enemy force has cornered your fleet and stands ready to wipe you out. Break through the line to reach safety. Move at least half your ships off your opponent's table edge to achieve a major victory. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So this is one of those, basically just kind of getting to the other side of the board and then actually getting your ships off the board. So if you can manage half of that, then you do get the major victory. And then just, again, outscoring your opponent for a minor victory. Defense line. An enemy fleet has moved into the area determined to reach its home port. You must hold the line and cause them to fail in their objectives. Stop the enemy from gaining a major victory and score the most victory points to earn a major victory yourself. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So, interesting little bit there. This one seems like it's going to be a little bit tougher. So you got to, whatever their objective is, stop them from achieving it. And you still have to score the most victory points on top of that to yourself earn a major victory. Now, if you just score the most victory points, then you at least pull out a minor victory there. So that seems like a pretty tough one. Depending, of course, on what they are doing. Attrition. You must cause as much damage as you can to the enemy fleet while minimizing your own losses. Score 50% more victory points than your enemy to earn a major victory. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So, and that could be just a little bit there too. Sweep and clear. Roving the sea, you must find an enemy to engage and destroy them without losing momentum. Move at least half your ships off your opponent's table edge and score the most victory points to achieve a major victory. Move at least half your ships off the opponent's table edge to achieve a minor victory. So let's see here. Oh, yeah, so basically, yeah, just moving off, but then also having to score the most victory points to get that major victory. So that's a pretty tough one, too. Because as you leave, obviously, those ships won't be shooting anymore, so you kind of have to already be ahead on victory points as you move your stuff off. So that's going to be a tough one. Domination. The clear water must remain under your control for future operations at all costs. Divide the battlefield into 4 equal quarters. Make sure you have ships in at least 3 quarters while your enemy has no ships in the same quarters to earn a major victory. So basically, control the table quarters. Pretty cool idea here. Make sure you have ships in at least 2 quarters while your enemy has no ships in the same quarters for a minor victory. It's nice. Little variation on the typical table quarters thing. Fighting retreat. The enemy has been pressing hard and your fleet forms a rear guard for a civilian convoy. Move at least half your ships off your own table edge and score the most victory points to achieve a major victory. Remember that moving ships off the table in this way counts as a tactical withdrawal, so just keep that in mind. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So that one does seem a little bit weird, just because if you're moving them off your own table edge, you could probably do that fairly early. But again, with the tactical withdrawal rule coming into play there, you're still giving up points to the opponent. So you're going to want to at least do some damage to them first, I would imagine here. Yeah, just to get up on the victory points. All right. Last stand. Your small force is trapped and likely doomed. Fight for your life, and victory may still be yours. Sink at least 1 enemy ship, okay, and score the most victory points to earn a major victory. Score the most victory points to earn a minor victory. So, yeah, basically, just blow up a ship. Doesn't really specify what class, so that can be nice if you can, just pop a destroyer or something like that. And then you still have to outscore them, and then that gets you the major victory, or just outscore them for the minor victory there. And then the ultimate enemy. Dun dun dun. So 1 enemy ship in the fleet is responsible for the destruction of several convoy ships. It can't be allowed to remain operational. Destroy the enemy ship with the greatest point value and score the most victory points to earn a major victory. Destroy the enemy ship with the greatest points value to earn a minor victory. So, oof, that's a tough requirement. You still have to blow up their biggest ship just to get the minor victory, if nothing else, which can be a tough task. And if we go back again to our chart here, you see that some of those were, of course, high. So the high priorities are basically at the front and back there, so the destroy and the ultimate enemy. Then we have a couple of low ones, and then the mediums are in the middle there. So pretty interesting stuff, the way they have that organized. So, and it's nice, though, at least with like ultimate enemy being a high priority, so you do get like the 10% bonus to your fleet. But again, if let's say you each roll that, obviously you're going to try and blow up your main, like your capital ship, your flagship of the fleet, or whatever you want to call it. So there's some interesting ideas here. Ultimate enemy kind of is like the sink the Bismarck or sink the Yamato kind of a idea, blow up their biggest ship. But overall, pretty neat in the way that plays out. And again, once the game finally releases, we'll definitely be looking to at least see how this works out in practice, and if this will be like a good system for tournaments. Just because, again, with the variation there to like fleet sizes, see if that's actually a good idea in practice, and what that will do, like, again, over, like, let's say a course of a 3-4 round tournament or something like that. But nonetheless, some interesting missions, objectives, things to do, and again, some nice variations on some of the more classic things. So it's not just always blow up the enemy or just simply be in a table quarter or something like that. So some interesting ideas here. And who knows, maybe they will also add some other objectives down the road, or some unique ones depending on the ships as well, for maybe like a more narrative themed game. Of course, you could come up with your own house rules and stuff like that, but overall, pretty good stuff. So that is a quick look at the objectives, in other words, the missions or scenarios for Victory at Sea. The next video, final video on basically like winning a game, setting up a game, we'll cover deployment and how that works with things like scouting and so on and so forth, and over the horizon attacks, and how scouting again will like modify your deployment based on the mission and all that fun stuff too. So hope you guys enjoyed this little tour through that. If you could, give us a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and then stay tuned for more.